Here with UFC President Dana White ahead of UFC 235 on Saturday at T-Mobile Arena. And Dana, can you believe it? We just saw Jon Jones fight in December. Here we are in March, and we're seeing him again. How good does that feel?
I love it. I love it, man. One of my goals since he's been back is to keep him active. I want to keep him active, and he's into it, so it's perfect.
The guy is like so loose to the point where you almost wonder if he's taking Anthony Smith lightly. Have you gotten that sense from him at all?
Well, the thing is with Jones is if you look at his past and you hear the stories, now when you saw this guy do amazing things and you found out what he was doing 3 weeks leading up to the fight and stuff like that, it's mind-blowing. So I never really know where Jon Jones really is at, but so far so good.
I mean, I know you're a promoter, but you're also a fan first. Just being able to see Jon Jones on a regular basis, can you put it into words as a fan what that's like?
It's incredible. I love the fact that he pulled his life together and is doing what he's doing, because as in all sports, there's going to be a day when Jon Jones can no longer compete, and it's fun when he does. So I'm going to enjoy every minute of it until he's done.
Look, Anthony Smith deserves to be here, but this week has the feeling of this guy is a major underdog. What have you seen out of Anthony Smith on how he's handling that role?
This reminds me exactly of the Gustafsson fight. Yeah. Exactly like it. Everybody was writing off Gustafsson. This fight's a joke. Why is this guy even fighting Jon Jones? Blah, blah, blah. This dude is tough. He is mean, and he is hungry. He wants this title bad. And anybody that thinks this fight's going to be a walkover is nuts.
What do you think this year looks like for Jon, if he is able to beat Anthony Smith, of course? Are we looking at big-type fights with Brock Lesnar and Daniel Cormier? Are we looking at next guy in line, next guy in line, next guy in line?
Yeah, I think, what I'd like to do is after his huge layoff, you get him a couple of fights with guys that deserve the fights, and then we can start talking about what's next, whether it's, a big fight, in the light heavyweight division or the heavyweight division.
I remember being in the Palms in November. Kamaru Usman defeated RDA, and you were speaking so highly of the guy. You said, that's the Kamaru Usman that I want to see fight for a title. Why is that? Why do you think Usman is the right guy to challenge Woodley on Saturday?
Yeah, well, he did some dumb things early on, the 30% thing and, some of the stuff that he said. He took the criticism well, and he went out and fixed what his problems were. And he went out and looked unbelievable against a guy whom I respect a lot. And he got himself a title shot. And popular to contrary, belief, you don't get title shots by talking around here. Talking just doesn't get you a title shot. You have to perform, and you have to do a lot of other things. Most importantly, step up when it's offered to you.
And I feel like the narrative around Tyron Woodley is changing around fans. Early on in his title reign, he was talking about George St. Pierre and talking about Nick Diaz, and he wasn't really talking about the next guy in line. And now he told me this week, I want to be fighter of the year. I want to be active, and I want to defend this title.
Here's the thing I wanted Woodley to figure out years ago. Don't worry about all those other names. Become the big name. How do you become the big name? By putting in work, man. Knocking them out of the park one after another after another. Jon Jones cleaned out the division. Anderson Silva cleaned out the division. List goes on and on. Fans know who the real guys are. You don't have to sell yourself to everybody. You go in and do your job. People aren't tuning in for hear people talk and all this other stuff. They're tuning in to see great fighters beat other great fighters. And when you're that guy, the fans know it, and they treat you accordingly.
Very deep card. One of the ones I want to highlight, though, is the beat Magomed Shapiro fighting Jeremy Stephens. That's, of course, is on ESPN. Just your thoughts on that fight.
Ridiculous. I'm so excited for this fight. Jeremy Stephens has been here for a long time. I love that kid. I love his attitude. I love how bad he wants to win, how bad he wants to be a world champion, and another one that will fight anybody, man. All the guys that everybody doesn't want to fight, Jeremy Stephens says, give them to me. And I love that about that kid. And tell me the last boring Jeremy Stephens fight you saw.
It's hard for me to recall.
It doesn't exist. That's the truth.
Dana, a video came out last night of Colby Covington tracking you down at the Palms. You were just at a press conference, and you said it didn't look as bad as the video made it out to be. Right. You said you guys talked a little later. That's good, because the video...
a little later, we talked right then. Because when he walks in the video, I'm sitting there playing cards, and first of all, he rolls in with 5 or 6 guys, and they all got their phones out, and I'm like, are you videoing me? And he's trying to play this. I get what he's trying to do, and I'm not mad at the kid for trying to do his thing, but I'm doing my thing. I'm playing cards, man. Don't roll it. And as soon as I said shut your camera off, he shut his camera off, and we talked like normal, civilized people. You know, if you look at that video, like he rolled in and I'm so mad and all this, it was nothing like that. So, yeah, listen, I get the kid's shtick and what he's trying to do. I offered you the fight. You know I offered you the fight. You could have took it. Now you're going to have to wait. You know, I get it. Go ahead, make some noise, run around with a bullhorn, you know, rolling on me with cameras, all this stuff. I get what you're doing. Next time I call you, say you want to fight, say yes.
Is there a line that he can potentially cross? I mean, he's made headlines calling you names, saying that he wants to be released, and now this latest incident. Is it really?
I don't care about any of these things. People play this stuff up, and oh, he said this, he said. What do I always tell you guys? This is the fight business, man. It's crazy. It's a crazy business, and you know that stuff doesn't bother me. What other people are thinking, you know, doesn't bother me. I don't care about any of that stuff. He's got to do his thing. Do your thing. When it's time to fight, fight. No matter how many bullhorns you're walking around with, or running around with cameras, or filming my car, or whatever you're gonna do. I get it. It's funny, and fans love it. But at the end of the day, what it's really all about is when it's time to fight, fight.
Do you think he's missed? Well, clearly he's already missed an opportunity because he's not fighting Tyron tomorrow.
Yep.
But has he lost the opportunity in a sense of does he have to now win to re-earn it?
Not fighting Tyron tomorrow. He could have fought Tyron months ago in Texas. Now he's not fighting him now. And, you know, let's see what happens next. You know, hopefully he learned, and a lot of other guys have learned, when I pick up the phone and call you and ask you to fight, you say yes and sign the contract and show up. You know, like when you get an opportunity like this to fight for an interim title, you know, I know like media guys and stuff like to downplay the whole interim title. The interim title's a big deal because you win the interim title, you go into a title fight now, you're both champions and you both get pay-per-view. That's a big deal. So it's not a joke when you get the call for the interim.
And I think there was a time where, to be fair, maybe there were a couple circumstances where I could understand the argument where the interim didn't work. But I think with the lightweight division and the middleweight division, in the circumstances that they are, this is why interim titles exist, right? 100%. You talk about the decision-making of making 2 interim titles.
You're absolutely right. And you know, we're in a weird position that we haven't been in before with Conor and Khabib getting in trouble after that last fight. Suspensions, Ramadan, you know, the list goes on and on. There's certain circumstances like injuries and these type of things that you can't prevent. You just can't help it. And, you know, the interim title allows 2 guys that should be both fighting for a title, you know, because if you look at 1 through 3 or 4, those guys are worthy of a title shot. So these guys, you know, these guys are going to get it.
And to be clear, I want to address the Tony Ferguson thing because I remember it was a couple months ago, but I asked you as a fan, Dana, what fight do you want to see Khabib fight next? And you said Tony Ferguson. Right. That was the fight you wanted to put together. So why didn't that fight come together, and what are your feelings on it not coming together? Because that was the fight that you wanted.
I've been talking about Tony Ferguson nonstop, you know, for a long time. Guess who else I'd like to see? Tony Ferguson versus Max. You know what I mean? That's a great fight. So I tried to make that fight. He turned it down, and I don't know why. He does. That's up to him. And we just keep rolling.
Do you try to get a reason out of a guy like that? Like when you think that you're offering him a really special opportunity, do you even try to find out why?
If I call somebody and they don't want to fight, I'm not pressing it. If you don't want to fight, you probably shouldn't fight.
You think this is the start of I guess, do you think this is the end of Max Holloway at 145 pounds?
Probably. I think that once he feels how good it feels to fight at 155 pounds and not have to cut all that extra weight, I think this might end up being his home.
Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, it's a terrific matchup. We're only 6 weeks away from it, so I want to give you an opportunity to say, what do you like about that fight?
Yeah, listen, both guys have fought their way to the top. Both guys have earned this fight. They fought all the best in the world. And both guys have incredible stand-up. If it goes to the ground, they're both fun on the ground. There's no place in the fight that this fight sucks or is boring or is even anything but badass.
Last question, because it seems like you need a drink of water. You're kind of dying on me over here.
What the hell's happening?
But Conor McGregor, Cowboy, I think that's a fight that a lot of people want to see. It's a fight that we were hoping to see this summer, but you just said at the press conference you're looking for other opponents for Cowboy. How come? Yeah,
so the fight just didn't happen. You know, Conor, what Conor really wants is to fight Khabib. That's the fight Conor really wants. So let him figure out what's next. But in the meanwhile, Cowboy was in my office yesterday. You know him. He wants to fight. He's ready to fight again. He wants to fight again. So we're looking at another opponent for him. We're looking at Maybe him and Raging Al.
That's a fun one. Well, your gut reactions today. When do we see Conor McGregor fight again?
We'll see Conor fight probably in the fall.
Thank you for the time, man. Appreciate it. Get some water.
All right.